It is the Wrestling Inc. podcast, the world's favorite wrestling podcast. It is I, Alfred Konuwa, at This Is Nasty and Pro Wrestling Bits, joined by our returning champion, Issa, NYC Demon Diva. Best reactions in the game. You can find her on YouTube. What's going on, Issa?
Not much, just hanging out. How's your Tuesday?
Tuesday's going great. Glenn is in parts unknown, recovering from the rehearsal. I started it, and everything everybody says about it is true. Go watch that show. It's a great show. But Glenn is recovering from that show in parts unknown. He will be back with us on Friday. But what was the best part of it? How's Roman doing, Issa?
He's here. He's hanging out with us. Look at him.
That's great.
Look at the camera. Say hi.
Ecstatic.
All right. He's. You can tell he's thrilled.
I think he's thrilled because Bad Bunny's big week. Let's hear what you have to say about Bad Bunny in, a minute and a half, and then we can get into this news. But I'm dying to hear, and the streets want to know, Issa, what you think about between him being Artist of the Year, between him kissing guys, kissing girls, making statements. What do you think about Bad Bunny today?
I have so many thoughts. First of all, super proud. First non-English speaking act to ever win Artist of the Year. It's a big freaking deal, right? And the flex to get that award handed to you in the middle of your sold out concert at Yankee Stadium. I'm sorry, that was epic. I grew up living for VMAs moments, and I felt like Bad Bunny had quite a couple. Honestly, I feel like this generation needed a Britney Madonna moment, and I feel like Bad Bunny gave them that. I was just jealous. Like, everybody's getting a shot at kissing Bad Bunny. When am I gonna get my chance? I felt like Dolph Ziggler. I was like, it should have been me. But I'm really proud. Like in like real talk, very proud of him. He didn't have to change who he is, his culture, his language, his sexuality. He didn't have to change anything to become one of the biggest artists in the world, and that to me is commendable.
Absolutely. And these kids don't understand that VMAs used to be infamous for having these types of moments every year. And we haven't seen anything that got this much buzz, which is crazy because the social media era is made for that.
There was a couple of Britney Spears moments that made me realize that I swing both ways. The VMAs helped me find my sexuality. Thank you, Britney Spears and the VMAs. So I'm glad that Bad Bunny turned the tables around and did it completely different. I thought it was epic. I didn't like that MTV actually didn't really capture the full moment. They should have captured that kiss right then and there. They kind of turned the camera a little bit.
Yeah. They forgot how to do this because there were, good and bad Britney Spears moments, but there was that performance of the snake, the
snake performance. Actually, the moment for me was her satisfaction / oops, I did it again when she took off the suit and she was in that nude bedazzle. Oh my God, I was like, I don't want to be her. I want to be with her. So the Madonna kiss I thought was epic. The snake performers, like you said, I thought she had like the most perfect body I've ever seen during that run, and her workout routine back then was crazy. But like I said, I grew up for those VMA moments. They were controversial. You never knew what to expect. So I'm glad to see that somebody is living up to that still to this day, because up to that point the show was kind of boring. I like the Nicki Minaj performance. I did like it. She brought back a couple of oldies in there, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I thought, there was a little bit of nostalgia in there, but I thought Bad killed it. And again, doing your performance live from your sold-out concert at Yankee Stadium, what a flex. What a flex for him.
He's the biggest artist in the world. I mean, that's what it felt like. And when you look at record sales and you look at where he sells out in concerts and whatnot.
Yeah, everything. He's currently on a stadium tour because his last tour was indoor and he was selling that out. So why not go bigger? And he's killing it right now. And the production value of these concerts is absolutely incredible. This man is flying around these stadiums in an island. Like, who's doing that right now? Nobody.
Yeah, and I always heard that the kids don't know who he is. Somebody in the wrestling circle told me.
Don't even get me started on that. I just want to say, I've been here with Benito since the Chambea days. Okay, now I'm not gonna gatekeep. If you just found Bad Bunny, come on in. I welcome you to the fandom. But I'm just saying, I've been here since Dile, since he was singing in La Perla here in Puerto Rico, and nobody knew who he was. So I couldn't be. I feel like a proud auntie, like watching him do everything that he's doing right now. Oh, and let's not mention he has a movie in the a top box office movie with Brad Pitt while all of this is going on. Like, it's crazy he's taking over the world.
Yes, and shout out, speaking of nostalgia, to Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley. I believe they made out.
Oh my God, remember that? Yo, that was, yo, I don't even want to talk about that. That was the weird, I didn't know how to feel about that. Like, I was like, is this supposed to be happening? You know, it was great. VMAs has some great moments, and I wish they were that great again. But Artist of the Year, Crown he sold out at Yankee Stadium. Awesome moment for Bad Bunny. Thank you for asking me, because I never get tired of talking about him.
That's good. No, I had to know, and you did not disappoint. Great recap of the VMAs. Issa, talking about everything that we needed to know. We have Mia Lee for $4.99. Thank you for that. I'm really intrigued for Worlds Collide after seeing former NXT champions there. I'm liking Kiana James, Ricochet, and Carmelo. Gonna steal the show. I like that, and we will definitely get into that. I thought this was an awesome go-home show, considering what a go-home show is supposed to do. We will get into that.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, if we gotta get into a little bit of a recap before we actually talk about the show, they sold me World Collides. I went tonight thinking, like, I'm not that thrilled. Out of all of the shows this weekend, I wasn't that excited for World Collides. Now I feel like I have to watch it, and so they did their job.
Because of what you just said, this to me was one of the, if not the best go-home shows in NXT history, and one of the best WWE produced go-home shows they've done in a while, in that it really made you want to see the matches in addition to being well-produced. They served their purpose in terms of, I went from, it'll be a good show, to like, wow, this is going to be lit. I got to watch this. Like, they did a great job building this up.
And during the new era, and I know we'll get into it, but this show felt like it had Triple H prints all over it. Where the last few shows, while we have had Triple H in charge of creative, they just felt like NXT was running on autopilot from now. Where tonight, it felt like Triple H said, let me look at that script and maybe, throw a couple of things in there. And I appreciated that.
And whether Triple H
it did have some lows. It did have some lows.
Oh, we'll get into that. Oh, for sure. Whether Triple H was involved in this show or not, it had his fingerprints all over it. Like some of the stuff that happened, some of the people on the show, it's definitely had his fingerprints, whether he wanted it to or not. But we will definitely get into it. First of all, Issa, we have to talk about friend of the show, Tony Twitterfingers, was at it again. No. It's not Friday night, Tony Twitterfingers, he said. This was Monday night, Tony Twitterfingers, going head-to-head with WWE RAW. Right after RAW went off the air, Tony Khan, AEW president extraordinaire, he tweeted a very cryptic message from Star Wars, The Next Generation. Shout out to the 90s. It was Worf, the character, saying, "This is the turn of luck I've been waiting for." What could Tony Khan have been talking about, Issa?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's a big mixed reaction to this All Out card. I feel like a lot of people are not as thrilled for it as other All Outs. I'm personally one of them. I think it's going to be a great show. I think we're going to see some good wrestling, but I feel like the hype is not there right now for All Out, and Tony is going to do his best this week. It's what he does best, to build up this card and make sure people get excited for it. Maybe that's his way of getting started.
Yeah, instead of these outward announcements that we do tend to see when he said, I've got a big announcement here and there, which has become its own little parody of Tony Khan. Tony Khan is now seemingly doing it a little underhandedly. Maybe he does have another big announcement, and now that he's found something out, he wants everybody to know. It could be a TV deal for ROH. It could be this all elite women's project. What I think it is, he just got word that CM Punk is indeed showing up to Dynamite tomorrow, which is like, whew! CM Punk's not staying home.
No, maybe he finally got MJF to come back, because that's what he needs. Let's be real.
Yes, he does. Can't come soon enough. I feel like within the next week we'll be talking about MJF being back on AEW programming.
Yep.
But Tony Khan teasing All Out, and I agree with you on All Out, quite frankly. There are a couple of matches that I'm very excited to see, and I'm sure the go-home show will serve its purpose. We saw what this go-home show did in changing your mind, so AEW, I think, is capable of that in doing it in one show. But as we stand right now, compared to the hype All Out was last year, which really literally is AEW's hottest period to date. It's CM Punk is back. It's, this huge hype period of All Out. Compared to that, it seems like worlds apart.
Yeah, I attended All Out last year, and I remember walking out of there just feeling so excited about AEW, and I just don't feel that. You had the debut. It's gonna be very hard to outdo that All Out. I personally thought that was a great show from start to finish, but there's just I mean, I know this isn't the Wednesday night podcast. There's just a couple of things that are questionable going into this card. Like you have so many of your, like Warlow and FTR on a 6-man tag when those are two of your hottest acts that should be in individual matches. You know, no NJF. The fact that the world title match hasn't been announced yet. There's just a lot of like I don't know how I feel about it yet, but I do know that all elite wrestlers leave it all out there. I felt that way about Forbidden Door, and I ended up loving that pay-per-view. So of course I'm still gonna like watch and be excited about it. But as of right now, it's one of the least excited that I gone into an AEW show. And for his defense and to give him credit, this injury bug hit all elite wrestling. So it's very hard to book a show when you don't know who's coming back when.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think that is one of the flaws of AEW in terms of having such limited TV time that you could see that is actually one of the downsides where when you see these 6-man tag team matches with such big stars like FTR and Wardlow, it's because they want them on the show, but they didn't have the time to develop individual feuds for each of them because they only have you could say 3 hours, but 2.5 hours, let's say that's with the difference with Rampage, but they don't have that much weekly television time to build up these feuds. Having said that, they have a long gap between their pay-per-views, so pacing could be an issue for AEW too.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a pay-per-view from them since what, June?
Yeah.
26 for Forbidden Door. So I will feel like if the injuries were not there, you had months to build this. But again, I give them the benefit of the doubt, but at the same time, when we went into Double or Nothing, we were making matches that Friday night at Rampage when you have months to build the pay-per-view and there was no injury, situation there. So I know that we criticize WWE for waiting until the last minute to make matches. I feel like we need to do the same thing here. It feels like, it's not fully booked or it's just not the hype that you expected. A lot of people wait until the day off to make their decision, so it's okay to book a couple of matches at the last minute, but you would think the biggest draws, because your fandom want to travel, people are not going to book flights and hotels for a card they're not excited about.
100%. One thing I do like about All Out, though, bit of a blackout. Got the Acclaimed versus Swerve in Our Glory.
I'm excited for that. I wish he had a better build. I wish he had a better build.
A lot of these just kind of came together, which is a flaw of this whole card. But it's good to see compared to what All Out was last year. I mean, there were more Black people at the state capitol than on that card last year. And this year, I think it's very, very, very interesting, intriguing, especially Ricky Starks and Will Hobbs. I think they have done a good job with that, especially Ricky Starks, I think, who's on the verge of finally becoming that star
he cut last week. That promo he cut last week. Unfortunately, I hated the spot that they put him on because he came on right after that CM Punk squash match, and nobody was really like, what we were talking about. But I thought he cut an excellent promo, and I am excited for their matches. We'll see where it goes. I do know there's going to be good wrestling, and it's going to be entertaining. I just wish there was a little bit of better storylines going. Athena and Jade have had a month storyline. That might be the feud that has been built for months here out of everything that we're seeing.
Yeah. Shout out to Tony and the Chocolate Factory. Check that out. Love to see it. Backstage update. Were you a fan of Riddle and Theory, Issa? Because if not, fear not. They have gotten their names back. They are now back to being Matt Riddle and Austin Theory, as seen and heard on Raw last night. What do you think about that?
Very excited. I still call Matt Riddle. It's just something that I just can't help. Riddle never was a thing for me, so I've always stayed calling him Matt Riddle. So I'm excited for these people to be getting their names back. A lot of us, if you're been watching for a long time, it's very hard to drop the habit of calling them one name. I'm waiting for Tommaso Ciampa to get his name back too, because I still can't just call him Ciampa. It's weird to me, but I'm excited for that. I think it's great. The whole Riddle and Theory. I mean, those are the two of the worst ones to drop their names. And Riddle and Theory, it just sounds weird.
Yes,
so I'm excited.
Those are both words that are also like actual words. They're names that are also words. Like Theory is more of a word than it is a name, and so is Riddle. So it's good to see that back. And listen, if you go on my YouTube channel, Pro Wrestling Bits, about 3 weeks ago, I posted predictions for the Triple H era. A lot of them are starting to hit. I did say Theory and Riddle would get their names back. I said Road Dogg would get his job back. I said Ezekiel would disappear, which I'm heartbroken about, but we're cooking over on Pro Wrestling Bits, ladies and gentlemen.
Great YouTube channel. I'm an avid watcher. I always leave you a comment in there.
100%. You're the greatest. Feelings mutual about NYC Demon Diva, the reactions. And our final story is a reaction to WWE, this build to Clash at the Castle. Raw was up again. It did 2.005 million last week. This week, it was up over 2.1 million. and did 770,000 people in 18 to 49. So this is another increase, another great number, over 2 million. People seem excited about Clash at the Castle. And I will say this Raw did, it wasn't without its flaws, but I really loved a lot of what they did, particularly the build between Riddle and Seth Rollins. I think they're doing a good job making that look real.
Incredible. I love how organic it felt with the parking lot brawl. We see so many parking lot brawls. This felt different. The whole cameras are no longer recording and seeing, what Seth said to him. It went beyond the PG. I loved everything about it. I also really like what they're doing with Judgment Day. I feel like they're doing a good job at rebuilding Judgment Day. I enjoyed that segment, their match, their promo, Edge coming out, calling them. I thought it was classic. I liked the episode of Raw from Toronto, so I knew this episode had a lot to live up to, because I felt like I enjoyed all 3 hours of that Toronto episode. And for me to say that about an episode of Raw, it's been years. I think this is the last time I said I enjoy all 3 hours of an episode of Raw. But I really thought last night was great. And it doesn't feel like it's just being booked 5 minutes before the show. And when you put effort and you work on your storylines, you do get those fans back. I'm going to sound like the girl from Mean Girls that wants to bake a cake, but I want all wrestling to be good. I want everybody to be happy. I want us to have all the shows and be excited about it. So just to see this change in the atmosphere for WWE is fun. Now I want AEW to also feel that way, because now I feel like people are turning on AEW too, and I'm like, come on, give them a break here, But I'm excited that people are watching Raw again, because it's worth watching. It's worth watching.
Yeah, the momentum has just swung WWE's way, so it probably does feel tough for AEW right now, but it's just a momentum thing, and it's all in WWE's corner. It's so funny. It's like the 1 year anniversary of when I think AEW had the most momentum and WWE had the least. Like this time last year, AEW was outselling WWE in New York, which is WWE's home territory, and now here we are a year later, and during one of AEW's biggest pay-per-views, presumably on paper, their biggest match, you can argue that they're doing on pay-per-view in terms of Punk versus Moxley. You could argue that's one of their 3 biggest matches they have in the company. It just does not feel anywhere near as hot as WWE going to Clash at the Castle.
Unpopular opinion, I might be one of the very few that love what they did with Punk and Moxley. I love the squash match. I thought it was great. You validated Punk you validated Mox as an interim champ, because if Punk just comes out and beat Mox, then you're never going to have any faith on this interim champion. And it's something that they seem to be sticking with based on what we're getting at All Out with the women's title. You need to make sure that an interim champ goes on to be the real champ. And I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens. But I like what they did with Punk and Mox. I know a lot of people didn't, but I did.
King Rail with an insider super chat, I guess. Riddle about to be out of WWE. You see the text. This is just a super chat. This is not any type of fact or anything like that. The streets have forwarded me a copy of what you're referring to, but I need to do my due diligence before I see what's going on here. So
listen, there's a lot of factors to go into this, right? I'm not gonna give my own personal opinion, but as someone that is also from la calle, okay? You call it the street, I call it la calle. It's very easy to make up a fake screenshot, so you need to have a little more evidence to back things up.
My thoughts exactly. But let's get into this NXT show. Again, a tremendous show, I thought. It served its purpose in building up this pay-per-view premium live event we're having this Sunday with Worlds Collide. And before we get into the show, throughout the night, which I thought was the best part of the show, there were all these confrontations between previous NXT champions and the current NXT champion. And the idea behind each one was the previous champion was coming through to say, hey, don't make us look bad. Let's make this title look like the most dominant title here. And all of them got it. So I'll run down the pairings that they did. They had Finn Balor with Braun Breaker, Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker later on the night, Shayna Baszler, Mandy Rose, Tyler Bate and Gunther, Tyler Bate and Butch, neither of whom I remember winning those titles. I remember Walter and Pete Dunne winning those titles, but not these two. Miko Satomura and Elba Fire, Katie Lee Ray, and then Rhea Ripley and Blair Davenport, which Rhea Ripley I thought got a monster reaction. Which was your favorite interaction on all these segments, Issa?
Shayna Baszler and Mandy Rose was my favorite.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I enjoyed Rhea Ripley and Blair Davenport only because of the reaction Rhea Ripley got, and it was a really good promo she got.
I love the Rhea is Poppy chant. Loved it.
Yeah. That was great, but this is a theme going throughout the night, which really did add to the matches in terms of them having to defend these prestigious titles, because you did see so many historical champions like Finn Balor, who held the title longer than anybody, and then Gunther, who also held the NXT UK title longer than anybody, and all these historic champions.
Even the Alba Fire interaction to remind you, she was the longest reigning NXT UK champ. So it was great. I love the way they set that up.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. We start the show off with a wrestling match between Apollo Crews and Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, essentially, he was sent out of the ring, gets right back in, hits his finisher, beats Apollo Crews. I thought they had a good segment last week. It was quite humorous with the kind of Miz TV setup and that thing going on with Grayson Waller, but he carried it very well. But this match was just open and shut. The heel won, Issa.
I mean, they try to play the whole I think, that Apollo was injured throughout the match. So I guess it was protected somehow. It's just when they brought Apollo back down to NXT, I just really had high hopes for him. And he's just getting a lot of losses. So I feel like we need to turn it around soon, or he's just going to become somebody else in the NXT roster, where I feel like Apollo has that it factor where he could be going against Braun Breaker right now, which we teased. And then they just went away with it and he went nowhere. Maybe because World Collides might have changed the direction with the unifying of the titles. But I didn't like Apollo Crews losing here. I'm sorry, I didn't. But yeah, I did like their segment last week. I just didn't like the result. The match was fun. Apollo Crews is so freaking talented in the ring. And Grayson Waller, underrated. He kept up with Apollo Crews great here, but I didn't like the result. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it kind of telegraphed to me that Apollo Crews is just now in that role where he's going to be working with a lot of these younger guys, getting them ready for the main roster and making them look better. And he's a perfect person to work with, even and especially for a Grayson Waller, who is somebody who's on the rise, so they see big things in. But I think Apollo Crews is much better and is worth much more than that in terms of going back down to NXT.
Yeah, I agree. I shout out to Apollo Crews because he got some awesome gear tonight and he matched the NXT 2.0 aesthetic. I do have to point that out.
Yes, he absolutely did. Very, very bright tights that he
had.
He pulled them off.
He did. He looked great. But I do think that him and the direction they're going with him now, it makes you a little nervous for other people coming back down to NXT, because now you see somebody like a Ricochet and it's like, should I be excited or not? Now, there's nothing wrong with putting some of the NXT people over, but if Ricochet was to lose to Carmelo Hayes, at least he's a champion right now in NXT. Mm-hmm. Grayson Waller was kind of lost in the shuffle here. So I just don't know that should be the person that Apollo should be losing matches to.
That's a good point. Backstage, we have the Diamond Mine. This will play into the match we get later on, to where Roderick Strong and Diamond Mine are fighting, and Roderick Strong saying he has security camera footage proving his innocence. He's not linked to Tony D'Angelo, so they're going to fight Dallas later on tonight. We'll get into that, and I know Issa can't wait.
Oh, yeah, so thrilled. I told you, this episode was a roller coaster for me. A lot of highs, and when the highs were high, they were great, but the lows, I was so over them.
Ups and downs. Yep. Here's kind of an up. I think by the end of this segment, this is pretty fun. Carter and Chance versus Nile and Paxley. Ivy Nile and Tatum Paxley going for the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. Ivy Nile gets distracted by Toxic Attraction, who's back in Orlando. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane do the distraction. That allows Katana Chance to hit the exclamation point for the win. And Carter and Chance cut this babyface promo saying they're going to give the Nile and Paxley another rematch sometime down the road, but they don't have opponents for Worlds Collide. So they're going to do the smartest thing you can do in NXT, Issa. They're going to party in the parking lot because nothing ever goes wrong there. But before they can organize this party, we hear Dewdrop's music. Dewdrop got an amazing reaction along with Nikki ASH. So we're setting up Nikki ASH and Dewdrop against Kaden Carter and Katana Chance. What do we think about that, Issa?
I love this segment. Again, on the list of people that a few months ago we were talking about how they were gonna do big things in NXT, Ivy Nile was on our list, all of us, including Glenn. I know he's not here, so it's like, why I know she didn't take the pin or anything, but her being in this weird tag team title match with somebody that we don't really, I don't know, and we're not invested into. That being said, it was awesome for the champs to get a win, because a lot of times when it's a non-title match, they go on to lose, and I don't like champions losing on television. But the exciting part here was what happened afterwards, and just hearing that reaction for Piper Nivens, I'm gonna call her that, and Nikki ASH was just fun, because it feels like they're just not doing a lot on the main roster right now. So it's just fun to hear them get the love that they deserve. I'm excited for this match. I'm not gonna lie. Again, this is one of those things that made me go, okay, I'm gonna watch Work Alive. I think these women are gonna kill it in the ring, regardless of how the match ends up going. So I wasn't mad at this.
Yeah, you're excited. The crowd was very excited with this segment. I liked it, and I think this is going to be a good match. I think Katana Chance and Kaden Carter have been a really good tag team, or they've gotten much better, much improved tag team, let's say, over the past maybe 3 to 4 months. But I always felt like they were hamstrung by the opponents they could work with because of how limited that tag team division is. But now with Dewdrop and Nikki ASH, and they're going to give them time, I think this is going to be a great match.
Yeah, it could steal the show. I mean, there's a lot of really good matches here that they made tonight that really made me want to watch the show. This is one of them.
Yeah. Cameron Grimes in a recognition ceremony. So we go right back down.
No.
Joe Gacy is holding a ceremony. Listen, I'm not going to paraphrase this. Joe Gacy just talks and talks and talks and talks, and eventually takes a personal shot at Cameron Grimes' father, which ignites Cameron Grimes. He clears the ring of the dyad, and as he charges Joe Gacy stops him, gives him a big old hug. And we are continuing the tease of Cameron Grimes possibly joining Joe Gacy. It did not happen on this show or during this segment. Issa?
No.
Okay.
This was bad. The whole thing was bad. I'm over Joe Gacy and this gimmick and his goons. Cameron Grimes don't know what he's talking about half of the time. He don't even have that if factor. He comes out there looking like a Best Buy manager, and then he just comes out there and says, "Yeah, I've lost a lot of matches. I got myself in that situation and I lost." How am I supposed to get behind you with that promo? This whole thing was bad. I'm not invested. I'm not into it. I think the common denominator here is Joe Gacy. You got to do something different with him. Every time he's in a feud, it just makes the other person, you're not elevating anybody. You're bringing whoever he's feuding with down. It happened with Braun Breaker. Now it's happening to Cameron Grimes. Something has to change here because he's just not it.
So what you're saying is Joe Gacy is NXT's version of The Fiend.
Yes.
Very interesting comparison. I never thought of it that way, but you might be right on.
I was just over it. I hated this, and I hated what followed it too. This was the lowest point of NXT for me tonight.
Yeah, and the thing about Cameron Grimes that kind of sucks, he kind of seems to be backed into a rock and a hard place to where it's to your point, he continues to have to explain losing. So in this feud, the only direction is he's got to join Joe Gacy. But who the hell wants to see that?
Yeah, but he gets himself in these situations, Alfred.
Yeah, he only has himself to blame. This next segment, I don't know if this is what you were talking about, but it was Roxanne. I believe we've booted Issa off the internet. She'll be right back. Cameron Grimes and Joe Gacy have that effect, and here she is. She thought about walking off the show. She's being a professional. Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the podcast, sister of the podcast, it's NYC Demon Diva, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't talk about this. I'm sorry.
Roxanne Perez has a video talking
about
Cora Jade. She's walking on bridges. They're doing all these shots. So what did you dislike about this, Issa?
Everything. I'm sorry. You know the streets. I know La Calle. You don't text someone and then block them. Yeah. That's a pussy move. Sorry, I apologize for my language, but no. If you let her clap back at least. Don't text her just to block her. That was dumb. It was stupid. She's just sitting there on a bridge going oh my god. No, it was dumb. I'm tired of her just pouting around. She and Cameron Grimes should just get together and go to an Applebee's and have a drink about these situations. It was bad.
So would you be cheering for Cora Jade in this feud then?
No, I'm not cheering for either one of them, but I guess if I had to pick one at this point, I think Cora Jade is coming off better here.
You just rather they both jump off that bridge.
Yeah, both of them can just I don't know, go to the trash can where she threw the tag titles away and try to find that together. I don't know.
Yeah, I've still got some time to build this up, but it's not really hitting for me either. And again, we've said this before, but they just rushed right through this feud. They went through what typically, even in today's WWE, what would take a couple of months, maybe even years. The Street Profits have been teasing breaking up for a while now. they did that in a matter of a week and
we
expected
didn't
us to
have
care.
time to get invested in their friendship or in them as a team before they even broke them up, and it was just like, no, it wasn't it. You put the titles on them for no reason. Yeah, this was poorly executed, and the follow-up to it has been poorly executed as well, and she blocked her. Like, that's just dumb. Don't send a text and then block. Just either block and not say anything. But I feel like it's a social media move to do. Like, let me unblock you just so I can send this tweet and then I'm gonna block you again. No,
Yeah.
no. I want you to see. I want you to see what I have to say.
Yeah.
Honestly, what I do, I like muting or turning off notifications because I want those people to keep trying to talk to me.
Yes. Muting is
you know what I mean? Like, I actually personally think that's even like saltier than blocking. It's just like the fact that they're just yelling at nothing. So she should at least just turn notifications off and let her like go off and never even see it. That would have been better.
Muting is the greatest tool. It is the thumb of Twitter. It is.
I love it because you have people screaming. Yeah. You have people screaming at nothing. It's incredible. Muting is everything. It's better than blocking. I'm telling you right now.
It is the absolute greatest. But yes, you cannot be the blocker and then unblock and then expect to be the baby face in this feud. You got to knuck if you buck.
Yeah.
Pretty Deadly in Lash Legend versus Briggs Jensen and Fallon Henley. Basically, Gallus brawls with security. And this distracts Team Babyface. Big boot by Joe Goffey, and Prince gets to roll up for the win. What do we think about this?
Always happy to see Pretty Deadly get a win. So yes, boys. I loved it. I was a little disappointed that they were wearing a fit that we've seen before. I expect them to come off looking fresh and clean every time that I see them. But shout out to them for matching Lash Legend somewhat. She had a little bit of purple going on, so I guess maybe that's why they wore that gear again. I'm not invested in this feud though. I like the intergender wrestling here. I thought it was fun, but it's a feud that I just don't care about. And I know it's been going on for a few weeks, but I still can't seem to be invested into it. That's the thing about NXT tonight. The highs were highs, but the lows were just like I could have not watched that segment and be okay.
Yeah, and the good news is if you could take some good news out of not being invested in the lows, a lot of those lows were things that are not going to be on the pay-per-view. So like this, they did tease later on in the night that we might get a big tag team, maybe multi-man match or something like that. But you're right. There were lows on the show, but it seems to be some of these feuds that they're in transition with and don't know what to do with.
Correct. But these titles are supposed to go away, no? They're the NXT UK titles.
Yeah, we'll see how they merge these titles. I'm sure all these NXT UK titles will go by the wayside eventually, if not immediately after this Worlds Collide show. So we'll see how they navigate that.
So I thought Worlds Collide was going to be the place that we got rid of these UK titles, but that doesn't seem to be anything announced as of yet. So I'm curious to see where this will go and how they'll get away with it.
So another feud that I don't think I'm invested in. JD McDonough and Wes Lee. JD McDonough cuts this long, creepy promo. They've got to stop having him do this.
He's creepy. Did you know that?
He's creepy. You know how I know that? He told me he was creepy. When you say you're creepy,
3 times.
That's how you know.
Yeah, that you're a tryhard. That's what you are.
Yeah, that's a tryhard. Kiana James was talking about tryhards. Right? Where are the bars for this guy? Because they're having him do this character that he is clearly uncomfortable with. He's speaking in a way that you can immediately tell he doesn't speak. And it's just so detached and so much language, so many words, and not enough action or heart or anything. They just need to have him do something he's comfortable with, and this ain't it.
Yeah, this is a revamping of a character that's not working for me. You know, like I think that, what's his name? Giovanni, I think he's doing a good job with the revamping of his character, but JD for me since day one has not hit. I'm not sure what he's supposed to be. Is he supposed to be rich, a good wrestler, creepy? Like we've seen too many things from him that just makes you uncertain of what he's supposed to be. It was okay.
Yeah, he's all right. He's fine, and he's a very good wrestler. It's just they need to put the whole package together, and they're still struggling. They're working it out. They're working it out. With
do you know that Jon Moxley is a badass?
Yes, I realized that. It might even be in his theme music.
Okay, just making sure you know.
If I ever forget, I'll ask you. Issa, is Jon Moxley
I got you. Today? Text me.
Okay,
Text me and
I'll
be like.
I appreciate that. Real friend. We get Charlie Dempsey and Andre Chase going one-on-one. For those of you who don't know, Charlie Dempsey is, of course, William Regal's son. So a little legalized tampering for WWE. I have no problem with a little legalized tampering. Put the guy's son on TV. He's probably watching, probably wants to be there. Probably easier to get out and go and reunite with the son and NXT. little legalized tampering for Charlie Dempsey, Issa.
Let's not talk about tampering, okay? You might get an email or something from the legal department.
Yeah, I don't want to cease and desist. Please don't say anything to me.
Check your spam folder, please.
Yeah. Dempsey versus Andre Chase. This is actually a pretty good match. They got very technical. We got the stomps, which makes every good match a great match with Andre Chase. And the people are super into that still. Chase won with a lot of distractions. I really watched this thinking, like, is Andre Chase a babyface in this feud or in this match? I know the people love him, but they were distracting Dempsey left and right. He was fighting him off looking like a badass. And at the last minute, Chase rolled him up and won.
Another match that I like the match itself. I don't necessarily agree with the finish. I felt that way about Apollo and Grayson Waller, and I felt that way here. You know, I was doing a watch along, and everybody in my chat was like, "Oh my God, we're about to watch a murder!" Like everybody was just so certain that Andrew Chase was going down. So I was not expecting the win. The match itself was fun, like you said, very technical. They did a lot of really fancy moving there, but the finish took me by surprise.
Yes. Me too, especially this is his debut, I believe. His first match in NXT. But he looks fine. I liked him.
Yeah, it was okay.
Reminded me of Timothy Thatcher. You know, not going to light the world on fire with his promos or his character, but very solid foundation, which obviously, given who his father is.
We'll see, but he should have not lost here.
Yeah, he really shouldn't have. Zoe Stark versus Kiana James. Zoe Stark won clean, kind of a showcase for her.
Yeah.
Good for Zoe. Gallus versus Diamond Mine. Okay, so this is what we were alluding to earlier in the show, where Roderick Strong has some evidence that's going to exonerate him of whatever wrongdoing they think he did. Damon Kemp, I thought, showed a lot of fire throughout this. They had that spot with the triple Hulk smashes. And then Roderick Strong walks out with the cell phone footage. He's got his phone, and Damon Kemp has Mark Coffey on his shoulders, and he just drops Mark Coffey, gets out of the ring to go confront Roderick Strong. Gallus wins off the distraction. We get a huge tag team brawl after this. So they're really teasing that the tag team division is imploding. That might be a last-minute match at Worlds Collide. What did you think about this match and the aftermath, Issa?
I'm over Diamond Mine. Like, they need to either break up or stick together, right? Like, all of this drama back and forth, it never leads to where you think it's leading, and you just get lost in the shuffle. Like, I when he was, like, talking about, like, oh, I have this evidence, I'm like, what is he talking about? Like, I had completely forgotten this whole thing with Tony D'Angelo and all of that. So I feel like the story is getting so convoluted, and that's what happened here, especially at the end where everybody just came out. I still don't know who's feuding with who and what's going on. Match itself, again, I don't have a problem with any of the in-ring tonight in NXT. I thought we had a lot of great matches. Results-wise, a few of them I don't agree. Here, I didn't have a problem with this. I thought it was just fine for what it was.
Yeah, this is fine. And I think the amount of false starts of Diamond Mine breaking up and then not doing it, by the time it happens, people are going to be like, okay, whatever. All right, fine.
Exactly. I don't even see them as a faction anymore because there's just so much drama. Nikki, Ivy Nile is doing her own thing. So, you know, it just doesn't feel like they're together. So you might as well just drop it already.
Yeah. We all have a friend who breaks up and gets back together, breaks up and gets together. And at some point when they break up, you don't care whether or not it's real.
Yeah.
We get a quick promo for Quincy Elliott. I'm very excited about this. Super Diva. Quincy's got a Spice Girls t-shirt. The Super Diva. That is gimmick infringement. There's only one Super Diva in wrestling. That's CM Punk. Shout out to Cousin Phil. But Quincy Elliott, I'm very excited to see.
I can't wait to see what he does. I'm loving the promos. I'm loving the aesthetics. We'll see where this goes.
Yes, and it looks like WWE, I would say maybe a year ago, if they were going to do this under the Vince McMahon era or whatnot, with those fingerprints on it, it would have been very outdated. It would probably come off as very out of touch. But this seems to be in the zeitgeist of the LGBTQ, the gender identity, whatever you want to call it. I think they're going to handle this perfectly. It looks like from Quincy Elliott. A lot of this is going to be on Quincy Elliott because they seem like a star, and I think this is going to work. They
need to give him a gimmick where he has like a commentary YouTube channel because I will watch him. Like when I'm watching his promos, I'm like, I will watch this guy. Like he needs to have some kind of gimmick where he has like not a talk show, like a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like with all the gossip in wrestling, like that would be incredible. I will watch him.
I 100% got that vibe. I was halfway expecting Quincy Elliott to say, smash that like button and subscribe.
I know. We are almost at 20,000 subscribers, guys.
No, it's going to be great. And speaking of great, I love this main event. So this is what tied it all together. And made the see. I felt bad for all these fans throughout the night because they're just bringing back one big star after another, but they can't see them. They're backstage like zoo animals, and you can't even see them come out to Clearwater. They were too good to come out to the crowd, but they were saving the best for last, I think, especially based on the reaction he got, because Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams are pissed that Carmelo Hayes isn't going to be on the Worlds Collide card. He insists he's not going to be defending the North American title after delivering all these bangers. He's not being appreciated. There's no one on his level. And this brings out Ricochet, who gets a massive reaction, seems like a big star, is getting a nice push on the main roster right now, and people are really starting to react to him. I loved how Carmelo Hayes, before Ricochet says anything, he goes, "Hey, Trick, you got a mic. I don't know if you know how to use it or not."
I went crazy for that. I popped so hard, and shout out to Ricochet too, because I know you'll get into it, but he wasn't so bad here. And I usually do not like him on the mic at all, but he had a couple of stingers of his own.
Hot take. I think Ricochet's promo was better than Carmelo Hayes, to be completely honest. And Carmelo Hayes is a great promo, a very good promo, but I thought Ricochet did a very good job, very convincing.
Yeah, honestly, what the one thing that popped me about the Carmelo and Trick interaction was the microphone line. Yeah. I thought that was great.
We were off to the races there, just barring him up before he even talks. But Ricochet held his own. To your point, he said, nobody remembers any of your title runs. He said there isn't anybody like me.
As soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God, he's right. Because I love Carmelo Hayes and I love what he does. But if you tell me, like, what's your favorite Carmelo Hayes match? Crickets. You know what I mean? Like, I will have to actually really go back and think. And I was like, oh my God, did Ricochet just like actually make a good point? Not just a singer to just get him. Like, I'm like, he has a really valid point there.
Okay, maybe he did, but let's not go that far. He is the A champion. I think he's been a great
what's
champion.
Your favorite Carmelo Hayes match?
I love Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes was very good. They had some ladder match. That ladder match for the North American title was phenomenal. I think Carmelo Hayes stole that whole match. Yeah. Solo Sokoa match is very good. And we are kind of prisoners of the moments these days more than ever in terms of remembering great matches. So it was a point that maybe can have some truth, but here's the thing I was thinking watching Ricochet's promo. I think the problem with Ricochet in terms of his promo, why it's perceived that he's maybe not that good on the mic, is that they always try to have him come off as this like nice guy and this relatable everyman. Ricochet is a cocky something. I'm just watching him deliver these lines saying, hey, there's nobody in here like me. Like, he believed that. And he was very comfortable being the cocky, like, I'm back. I'm one of the best wrestlers in the world. You're not even on my level. When he was talking that stuff, he seemed like he was 100% comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it here. And that's the thing. It's like, well, I don't know why we try to make Ricochet seems like the nice guy. First of all, I forgot to say in the beginning, shout out to Ricochet coming out to his own music. Also, I caught that. A music that everybody there recognized, because somehow with all of the theme songs changing, there's so many songs of people that they just walk out now, and it takes me a second to find out who's walking out. When that hit, exactly who was coming out. Yeah. I was very curious as soon as they said that was the main event. I was like, because I'm looking at the tag match, right? And I'm like, they're not going to give these people like 37 minutes. We know NXT has an overrun. So I'm like, something else has to main event here. I thought Ricochet looked so confident on the mic here. And to stand toe-to-toe with Carmelo Hayes, who's probably the best talker in NXT right now, that's a big deal, right? But yeah, I believed everything that Ricochet had to say about himself here, and it was just the confidence in which he was saying it. We'll see what happens here. I don't know, and that's a match that I want to see, because I don't know who will win here.
Yeah, so they have their brawl. Ricochet hits a spin kick.
Oh my God, Trick Williams sold that kick.
Yeah. Black mass on Trick Williams.
Oh my God. Like, he sold that so well, especially with their size difference. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, how is Trick Williams going to sell for? I believed it. It was great.
Yeah, and Trick Williams was great in this segment too. Coming out, he was the one who spoke first, saying that it was a travesty that Carmelo Hayes was left off this card. I just loved it, because he's like, we come out here sometimes making jokes, but now he's serious. And you just kind of believed in it, that these two guys are pissed off.
He was taking his shirt off before Ricochet was even done talking. He wanted all that smoke.
Yeah, no, this is a great segment, a great go-home show. And let me tell you, again, this really did a good job building up this match. And I look at a match between Ricochet and Carmelo Hayes on paper, just looking at the run Carmelo has had, which has included good matches, and just what Ricochet is. They get the time. This could be the best match. Screw stealing this show. This could be the best match of the weekend. This could be as good or better than anything on All Out.
I really want to see what happens this weekend. But does this put it, if I'm looking at all three events that we have going on this weekend, Clash, All Out, and now Worlds Collide, does this put it in like the top 5 matches that I'm the most excited about this weekend? It does. It does. It's not gonna take Gunther and Sheamus #1 spot. I cannot wait for that match. They're gonna kill each other. But it's up there in matches that I'm looking forward to.
Big meaty men slapping meat.
Are you surprised that's the match that I'm looking forward to? Come on.
No, I'm not at all. No, I can't wait for it either.
Oh, but don't tell me you don't think they're gonna actually murder each other. Yeah. Like Sheamus and Walter is just something that I think I might have dreamt about in the past. Like, this is gonna be a great match.
The best match you could argue of the pandemic was Walter and Dragunov when they were just beating the crap out of each other. I guarantee you Sheamus was watching that match like, damn, I want to get in there. Like, he's just watching that.
And Sheamus is like a stiff worker. Like, Sheamus likes to freaking go. Like, oh my God, I can't wait. As soon as it was announced, I'm here for it. So that, for me, this weekend, out of all these events, the craziness I'm going to experience, that's actually the match that I'm the most excited about. But I started my watch along today late, like 5 minutes before NXT started, and I'm like, I'm not excited for anything. And as soon as I hit end stream, I'm gonna watch Worlds Collide, and I'm excited for it. And that's what tonight's episode was supposed to do. So I think tonight was a win for NXT.
You and me both, and that's what AEW is gonna have to do tomorrow night. Is, again, you admitted to your point earlier tonight, you said that you're not that interested in All Out. I agree. A lot of these matches were done at the last minute, and tomorrow's show is going to be a very important one in driving home the fact that you need to buy All Out. They have not even announced their main event yet, so there's a lot of work to be done. Again, work I think AEW is capable of. They need a great show. They need some great angles, but they're behind the 8 ball right now in building up All Out.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I said, there's going to be some good wrestling. AEW always delivers. Even you had a pay-per-view where I didn't know who half of the people in the card were, and you still managed to keep me entertained and have me praising it. So, of course, I'm more emotionally invested here because I know everybody, but it just doesn't feel like it's been the best built. And, again, now that you brought that up, when I look at the matches that I'm looking forward to the most, I don't know at the top of my head, outside of maybe Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. Jungle Boy and Christian have done a decent job of building up their feud, but it's not like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. Like, as excited as I got about talking about Sheamus and Gunther, I don't have that from this AEW card yet. I think there's still matches to be announced and you can still get there, but I don't have that level of, oh my God, this is the match that I'm tuning in for.
Yes, a big week of wrestling ahead of us. We got Dynamite tomorrow, of course.
Crazy week.
Friday, SmackDown. Saturday, we're going to have Worlds Collide.
No, Clash.
Clash at the Castle is Saturday. Sunday is Worlds Collide and All Out. And, of course, Friday night, Rampage. Don't forget about that.
Luckily for us, Clash is at a decent time, so we'll still be able to enjoy somewhat of our Saturday, Or if you're out for Labor Day weekend, then you can come home and as you rest, put on the replay of Clash at the Castle. I think Clash at the Castle is going to be a very good. I'm super excited to see it. I cannot wait to feel the energy of the crowd. Like, I think it's going to be crazy. The All Out crowd is always crazy, and they're doing such a good job at including like NXT UK people for Worlds Collide that you also get excited for it. I think it's going to be a very fun weekend of wrestling. Tiring for us who cover it, but it's going to be fun.
And having said this, before we get off the air, I'm glad you're going to be amongst friends. Me, Issa, and Glenn will be covering after Clash at the Castle this Saturday.
Let me hear your British accent.
I've been working it out. I'm going to debut it this Saturday. Working out the kinks. You'll get 10 seconds.
Alfred, it was my idea, and I can't do a British accent.
Me neither. I'm horrible. I'll do it for 30 seconds and bail on it.
Yeah, I'm the one who put that in the group chat, and then I'm like, I can't do a freaking British accent, but we'll try.
Yeah, and I think they're coming for your boy, Issa. I think it's over. I think the dream dies on Saturday. I think.
What are you talking about, Alfred? I'm sorry. What?
I think Drew McIntyre wins that title this Saturday.
Why would you think that? Please elaborate. Why would you think that? Tell me, what has Drew McIntyre done this year?
It feels like it's time.
Tell me what he's done this year, because I can tell you exactly what he's done. Absolutely nothing. By the way, there was 2 pay-per-views. He wasn't even on the card. He fought Madcap Moss. He fought Baron Corbin. He got eliminated by Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. He got beat up by the Bloodline at WrestleMania Backlash. Like, you really think that's the guy that should dethrone? Like, you think that's the guy that should dethrone this historic reign? It's not it. Now, I don't want Roman to ever lose the title. We all know that. But I feel like when it happens, it needs to be to somebody that has been built up to make the moment just. I feel like what makes this moment feel amazing, if it was to happen, is that it's in the UK. Drew is from there, but it's not because of the build of Drew McIntyre. He's not it. He is not it. Karrion Kross will cost him the match. Karrion Kross is not coming after Roman right now. He's coming after Drew McIntyre. So Karrion Kross is going to cost him the match, and the tribal chief will still be acknowledged.
You didn't think that these segments they did with Drew McIntyre on SmackDown really kind of getting into it? I know they're kind of like reruns,
what segments? Him saying that his back injury came from carrying the company. Bro, the only person you carry was Madcap Moss, and I can squat Madcap Moss.
The vignettes, I'm talking about the vignettes.
So there is no carrying. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, and then what happened after the vignettes? He got his ass beat.
Still one more week.
And then he went on Twitter. He was like, "Oh, at least I'm still breathing." Here's an inhaler, bro. You're a professional wrestler. Shit happens. Like, deal with it. Nah, he's not it. He's not it. Okay, no, if you would have told me this back in like 2020 before the pandemic, that Drew McIntyre,
yes,
I would have told you, okay, I'm a little scared. I'm not scared. I already said it. I said it in my stream. I'll say it here. I'll buy that silly little sword necklace that the WWE shop has, and I will do a whole ass new Drew McIntyre appreciation thing if this happens. It's not it.
Oh wow.
I'm 200% certain Drew McIntyre's not.
200%. Well, the fact that I am not certain is why I'm looking forward to it so much. This is what Roman Reigns' title run needed more of. That's my only criticism for this whole Roman Reigns run is by the time you get to the title match, it's just going to be a steamroll. I think Drew McIntyre. I think he's going to win.
So, I cannot wait after Clash when I just like join this. We're going to go live and I'm going to be sitting here like this. I'm going to see that Roman Reigns lay back there. I'm going to be wearing it. It's going to be a beautiful day for Roman Reigns fans.
She'll be saying, "I told you so" in a British accent. Tune in this Saturday after.
You know what? That's what I'm going to, that's it. That's going to be the one phrase that I say on our pay-per-view with the British accent. Maybe I'll do it with a Scottish accent.
When in doubt, use that accent. She is Issa. Follow her at NYC Demon Diva with a 1. Follow me at This Is Nasty. Watch her on YouTube for Issa's reaction at NYC Demon Diva and watch Pro Wrestling Bits. Thank you, everybody. We will see you a lot this week.